Hey, what's going on, everybody? How's everyone doing out there? This is John, and we are on Life's New Normal. And for the first time, we're doing this via Zoom. So we get to do the podcast, and we get to come back now, and you can see the amazing guests that we always interview on this show. So today I have another just amazing young lady, and you're going to really get a great chance to meet her, to chat with her, and talk about the new normals that have come in her life. And as always, we're talking about trying to figure out how we can learn from individuals who've overcome so much adversity to really make paths in their own lives that they are now teaching others to do it. So if you are in that category, you want to get to know this young lady here. Miss Malone, how are you today?
I'm doing fantastic.
Yeah? So have you read all those books behind your head there?
I have read a lot of them. I have not read all of them yet, but I've read a lot of them.
I'm like, man, I'm looking at my 3 books I have over here. You outdoing me. Oh, I feel so bad. You are just an amazing woman in what you have accomplished despite everything that seemed to set up against you. Talk a little bit about, because I thought this was really cool, this Miss Universal Studios? I don't know. What's the thing that you...
I am Miss Louisiana Universal.
Miss Louisiana Universal. So yeah. What's that pageant all about?
This pageant system, the Universal system, is all about promoting women in positive images, and the theme that is really kind of a weave through it is about dare, dream, and believe. And that's so synergistic with my own belief system and mission, which is about being proof of what's possible. And even taking a little bit from Napoleon Hill, if you can conceive it and believe it, you can achieve it. So, we all have goals and dreams and aspirations and things that we want. And sometimes we get to places in our lives where we don't feel like we're good enough to be able to do it, or we are afraid of failure, afraid of success, so we don't proceed with it. And I have finally just come to a place in my life where it's like, you know what? Let's go for it. Let's do this. Yeah. And I walked away with the crown.
See there? She's just blinging it out. She got to try to one up me, right? That's really good. And you said that, you went through a lot to just get yourself back to a space where you felt confident enough to compete. So walk us a little bit. You don't take a long time. Just walk us a little bit through what that journey was like for you.
Certainly. I grew up in a family, youngest of 4, big dreams, big aspirations, of course, like any young child. I was that one who, in our family's living room, I'm dancing and singing around, and I just saw, this world of possibilities. And a little bit later on in my youth, I was actually a victim of child molestation, which took a huge toll on my self-confidence and self-worth, and, those feelings of shame and guilt and things that just start to kind of suppress that internal desire to do more or be more, because you felt, well, at least for me, I felt lower than dirt. So even though I was going out and still accomplishing things within my life, it was a desperate plea for acceptance and significance and like, am I good enough? Am I good enough? And so I did. I finished college when I was 19 years old.
Wow.
I went to run a $160 million technology business for when I was 21 years old. But even those things that I was doing, it was just to say, please tell me that I'm good enough. Please accept me. And I hadn't done the internal healing that was necessary to really own who I was despite my circumstances, what I was worth despite all the things that had happened in my past. And that didn't come until later on in life, when I really went down my own self-development journey. And it was a long time before those things kind of unfolded to become and create the person who I am today. And I'm still growing. I'm still learning. I'm just scratching the surface of what God has put inside of me.
Yeah. So a lot going on there, when I'm thinking about what you just said and how many other young women and even some young men at this point are being molested and having this guilt and this shame that's kind of associated with that. What's happening and what I'm thinking about right now is this Dr. Martin Seligman, who talks about this owner ownership mindset, right? So it's this, that no matter what's happening to us, we can choose this binary choice to make a decision. And I'm wondering, how do you even get to a binary choice when you're feeling lower than dirt?
Hmm. It all comes down to what we feed our minds as well. When
Mm,
we're in the midst of a situation, when we're in that pit, that's when it's the hardest time for you to be able to make that better choice or to find
mm,
meaning in that situation that's empowering. So sometimes, even for me, like as a child, like I didn't see this as being like, this is going to make me a better person, or, you're just in the situation. But as I have
mm.
gotten older, and you're right, you get a chance to make choices, and the people who you surround yourself with, the things that you put inside of you, what you read, what you watch, those
Yeah.
things will affect your belief system. And I got to a place, and really it was like I came to this like crossroads in my life where it was like, I'm either going to die in this shell of this person who I am trying to be to please everybody else, or I'm going to make a decision to like figure out what it is that I want, what kind of life I want to live. And it was scary to make that decision, to make that choice. And it came on the heels of coming up on a big layoff, because I had been in this corporate job for nearly 10 years, running this $160
Wow.
million business on television, as a spokesperson. And like my identity had become tied to this significant
Oh,
job. And then when that was taken away, and I tell you, God, how he works, how he works. Because every day, even though it was an
for
amazing job,
sure.
I worked with some amazing people, I woke up every day depressed because I was
Wow.
not fulfilling my true purpose. I wasn't doing what my life's calling was, and I was playing small, very small. And when that layoff
Mm.
happened, it gave me the opportunity to say, okay, Havilah, what do you want? Because see, all my family and friends was like, you better never leave that good job. Like, what? Like, got company car and expense account and X, Y, and Z, you got status and all this good stuff. But I'm like, I'm dying.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
So when
because oftentimes, the grass. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no. You're
I'm sorry.
absolutely right. Like it just came to that point in life where it was like, okay, it's decision time. And so when I
Mhm.
went, like, because I, instead of taking on another position within this company, which I could have easily done, I said, you know what? Let me go figure out who Havilah is and what Havilah wants,
Yeah,
and let me go down this path to like peel back these layers because I want to be happy. Like I want to be happy.
yeah.
Hmm.
A lot of times we think that the grass is always greener on the other side, right? We think that she's got it going on and I'm doing this over here, but my thing doesn't look like what she's doing. I need to, but we don't know what somebody else is going through to do what they're doing. So how did you handle the kind of naysayers and Havilah, you got to keep that job, got to keep that company car. How did you learn with all those thoughts of words that are hitting you to keep them at bay, to have a shield against them in order for Havilah to move forward?
Amen. And for the longest time, I gave in. I gave in to the voices. I gave in to the counsel to go this road instead of going that road. And every time I didn't listen to that internal guiding voice that was within me and I listened to everybody else's opinion, I suffered the consequences
Mm-hmm.
for it. Even though I thought I was pleasing them, there was a secondary benefit because it was like, okay, you're happy with me. Okay, I made a decision that made you feel good, but I suffered the consequences of it. So when I got that opportunity to start working on me, and I had always been like a reader, and I love audiobooks. As you can see, I have a whole roll of audiobooks. And so I was listening to things like, Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within. I was listening to, Cleason's The Richest Man in Babylon. I was listening to those things, but I wasn't applying them at the time. And so when I went on my self-development journey, I started surrounding myself with people who were in that same mentality, who were on that same path to growth, and who were implementing the things, even if it was small changes, small steps. I remember going to Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within event and like walking on fire and having these amazing breakthroughs and just being immersed into this world that was so different from my own, so different from my own, belief systems that I had growing up. And it was just like, it was a little freaky, but it also, there was something inside of me that was like, this is where you need to be. These are the people who you need to be around, and these are the things that you need to be feeding yourself on a consistent basis. And the people who were telling me, no, this is what you need to do, this is how you need to live, when I started making these shifts and making these changes and thinking a little bit differently, they started kind of pulling back, because they were like, okay, what's going on with her? Like, she's not the same person who we thought she was anymore. So I lost a lot of support and friends, and that was hurtful. It was like, okay, am I going to be alone, in this journey? But sometimes you have to walk alone. Sometimes you have to be alone to be able to get to who you truly are.
Right. Yeah, I'm so glad you said that, because one of the things I talk about in that journey and on the way out, right? So resilience, a lot of people talk about resilience. And most of the time, I actually challenged a professor, they were saying resilience is the bounce back. Roger Crawford says that, or resilience is, a rubber band spring back to its original form. And so I, raised my hand and said, well, I'm an amputee. I'm not back in the original form. My rubber band broke. So how do I get back? And what I discovered is that in resilience, it's not, yes, it's a bounce back. You want to bounce back but you're not bouncing back to your original state. You're bouncing back to this new normal state. And what that looks like is you have I break down the word resilience. I won't go through the whole thing, but in the word resilience, the first thing I noticed is that the word resilience, inside of that word resides the word silence. So we have to hear our own voice. We have to kind of put at bay those individuals that have that negative speak coming into us. Sometimes even positive speak, because we can believe this, we can drink our own Kool-Aid too. So we kind of have to have this balance of what's my truest path, and whoever you listen to, for me it's faith in God. I'm really trying to discern what is the direction that you want me to go, so that I might not just impact myself, but have the most impact on others that you want me to have. And so that is a deeper level of thinking for most individuals who just kind of go along with the crowd. So what was your process for getting silent?
At first I tried like traditional forms of like meditation, where you sit in dark with just a candle and you look into the candle and like silence the voice, and every time it says something, you silence the voice. And I was like, look, I'm about to fall asleep.
and for me, I'd be scared. In a closet with a candle, I would be looking, is Freddy Krueger coming over my head?
I tried that so many times.
I'll be jumping around.
I tried that so many times, and I was like, okay, there has to be another way, to be able to get to this place of silence. And you know what I found worked for me? It's actually a walking meditation. So when I go outside into nature, I feel most grounded. I will go to the lake. I really feel like I am a child of the water and the sun. That combination for me is reinvigorating. It gets me connected. It gets me grounded. And as I'm walking along the lake, I start to get my downloads. The thoughts, all of the chatter clears out. And then I start to get the downloads. And once I realized that, because every time I did it, I would have that same or similar experience. And I'm like, whoa, this is my meditation time. This is my silence time. This is my connection to God time. This is it. So I think there's a lot of different methodologies out there on how to like get into that meditation, state, or get into that connected state. You have to find what works best for you, and you have to do it through experimentation. Like try the candle in the dark. If it don't work for you, try going outside. Yeah, so for me, it's on the lake, or walking outside in nature, and like that, just it does it for me. It does it.
Yeah. So I know that you do. Well, before I want to go someplace, but I want to hear from you on. There is this learning that takes place from Donna St. Louis calls it going from Donna 1.0 to Donna 2.0, right? What she sees the new version of herself 10 years out, and then she goes back and says, what can I do now to start making roads to actually get there? How do you either not really remake yourself, but who were you before this time of change? And then what was your discovery about yourself? And then what did you learn about yourself that's this new person now?
Absolutely. Oh, that's a great question. As I think about that, as a matter of fact, when you said that, who were you before? Like the first thing that popped into my head, I was like, I was a beautiful fraud.
Oh,
I was a beautiful.
wow.
I really was.
That's good.
Right. So I was like, that's the first thing that popped into my head. And I was like, I was able to put on the shell of whatever it is that I thought would please whoever it is that I was before.
So here's why I think that's so brilliant you said that, because you say that you were this beautiful fraud, right? And even in that statement means you have come so far in that journey that you're confident to make a statement like that, to share that with somebody else who might be in that situation of being a beautiful fraud.
Good
Wow.
Lord. Yes.
You may continue. I had to get that out.
Yeah, you know what? And Lisa Nichols shared this in one of her speeches, and it really stuck with me. And at the time, it was feeding me, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't there yet. But she said, you've come to a place where you can be free when you have nothing to hide, nothing to protect, nothing to defend, where you can just be an open, vulnerable book. See, I used to look at vulnerability as weakness. Like, I can't let people know what I'm going through in life, or I can't let people know that I'm, sad or depressed, or that I'm broke, or, whatever it is. Like, I can't show that to the world, because you need to see strength. You need to see that I got it together, because then you'll follow me. Then you'll, do what I say. But if you see have these broken pieces, you're not going to want to listen to me. That's the furthest thing from the truth. Because even as I started to look back, who are the people who I listen to? Who are the people who are most impactful, that are helping me along my journey? The people who lay it out there. The people who are just honest and open about things. And so I started to see the shift in myself, because the person who I was even 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, is nothing like the person who I am today. Like, she brought with her the lessons, she brought with her the experiences, but those experiences now have new meanings. Those experiences now I've been able to turn to empowerment, as opposed to this crushing, defeatist, victim mentality that I had before.
I think that's really great. And even when I coach, new speakers, right? they're trying to jump into the story so fast, and they don't know where to start and stop, which is it's great, because I love the enthusiasm. But the story can be great, but unless you go deep, unless you really are vulnerable, you're never going to impact the audience the way you can, the way you should, because you're exactly right. That's what they're coming for. They don't know it, but they really want somebody to be authentic and vulnerable with them. And I heard one, I don't know who it was, maybe it's Christine Cash or somebody, but she said, you got to have the BLT, right? You got to be believable. You got to be likable. and you have to be trustworthy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So those three, I said, that's it. That's when the audience connects. And it's not just the connection that happens with the person that's coming in at that point on just your presentation. It connects with them on such a level that they are willing to change a behavior. Mm-hmm. And we talked about it a little bit last night, and it comes back to you in the echo, right? So we won't go into that, but it comes back, and you can hear those things out in different spaces of when somebody has really latched on to something that you may have said that you learned in your own life that you're now gifting to someone else. So now who would you say Havilah is?
I would say Havilah is a very charismatic, open, like lover of life, one who is purposeful, someone who is still figuring things out and finding her way, someone who has just scratched the surface of her potential and is learning and growing and willing to share that journey with other people, willing to be the guide for others along their journey. Because even people who are like role models, you're just a model. You're not the end all be all, because everybody is going to have to find the path that works best for them. You can just use these principles. You can use the model to be able to say, okay, I want to go in that direction, or I want to be able to have that kind of breakthrough, or I want to be able to have that kind of result. But you're not your A and your Z, but your B all the way to your, what is it, X or your Y. That's maybe different from mine.
Yeah.
It may be very different from mine,
for sure.
But at least you have something that you can look at to say, you know what? I want some of that.
Yeah, that's really good. And even talk with others. It's I will put somebody off, really quick if I don't think that there is a vibe that's happening, because then I say, you know what, you might fit better with this other person over here. Like when I'm coaching them or something and speaking, or even if I'm up for a gig, a speaking gig, I say, you know what, I don't think I'm the right fit. I think this other person might fit better with this presentation. And those conference professionals are they're ecstatic. Number one, they're shocked and amazed. Right. But why would I put myself out there in a position that I don't really know, be comfortable with the information? If I think there's a fit, yes, of course. But if I don't, I'm going to find someone else that makes it, that's going to be a better fit for that entity. So you said something a little earlier before we just kind of get off the show.
I want to say that is wisdom and that is stewardship. That is like the epitome of it, because that comes from a mentality of abundance. You know what? I don't need to take this in because I'm not the right fit for it. This person is, because what's for me is for me, and that can't be taken from me no matter what. But I'm going to do the best with what I've been given. And so I'm going to make sure that you have what you need. And it's not me right now. It's somebody else.
Right. But I'm going to tell you something. I stepped in it before. I learned my lesson. Doing what I had no business doing, right? But I saw that check. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get that.
Right. We all live and learn. We all live and learn.
Never again. So that I got some assistance. I did all right, but it's no, not doing that one again. So Marianne Williamson, writes that great poem that's a lot of folks do. One of the last lines in the stand, I'm trying to think of the name of the
Our Deepest Fear.
Our Deepest Fear, yeah. Thank you. So she says, as we are liberated from our own fear, our very presence liberates others. So talk for just a few minutes how you have seen these echoes come back to you, and that what you are doing now in your business. Talk a little bit about your business and how these echoes come back and how you are helping others.
Oh my God. Matter of fact, that Marianne Williamson poem is actually one of my favorites. That has been so impactful and powerful along my journey, because she's right. Like, what we fear most is not our darkness, it's our light.
light.
You know, the power that we have within us is what we fear. And so we try to shield that and cover it. But once we finally do start stripping off those layers and realizing who we are and whose we are, then that light will then affect other people. Just your presence, like, that's so powerful. Your presence, not a word that comes out of your mouth, not an action, not a thing that you do. The energy, the God within you is so pronounced that that presence will liberate other people. That's like, whoa. That is like, whoa.
Right.
And so for me, like, I love, like, it's a drug just about for me when I'm able to go into a speaking engagement, or I sit down with a group of, you know, women or youth, and they walk away and you see the light in their eye has gotten brighter. You see that, or they even express that, you know what, I never looked at things that way before. Maybe I can do it. You know what? I am going to try to implement that tool. Or you know what? My relationship with my mom or my sister, it can get better. You know what? It is about the choices that I make. When they take their power back because they realize they're not a victim of circumstances, they can make decisions for their lives. Oh, like for me, it's like, okay, I could die right now. I could die. And my life would be fulfilled. I know, right? Don't.
We got to finish this interview.
No, give me life. You know, but like, so that for me, or that echo that comes back of, you know, first the ripple effect of your actions, of the way that you live your life, that you are proof of what's possible. Because 98% of the people in the world go about, they drift through life. They have not made a decision. This is what I want. Because it all starts with a decision. Because you may say, okay, well, my mom was a nurse, and my mom's mom was a nurse. My mom's mom was a nurse. And so that means, you know what, I got to be a nurse. But what you really want is to be an author. What you really want is to be a painter, because that's the burning desire. That's the gift that you've been given for the note that you should play in the symphony of life. But we choose not to play that note because we think that we have to do what has been passed down or what other people think we should do. And so when we can make those, and they're hard, I'm not even going to play games with you. Like, it is hard to make a decision to change or to go against the grain. You become one of the crazy ones. You become one of the weird ones.
Right. Yeah. That's
but
right.
That would be the most fulfilling thing for you in your life.
Yeah. So have you heard those echoes come back with others that, you know, you've coached or, you know, spoken to? What's been one of the most impactful ones? I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? Oh my goodness. The one that's been most impactful is actually two. And it actually has come from within my own family. Because, see, those are sometimes the ones that are the hardest to make an impact with, because they know you from childhood. Exactly. They know you from childhood. They see you a certain way. No matter what you do, you could win an Olympic medal, and they're still like, that's just John. You know? I'm like, I just won a Nobel Peace Prize. That's just Havilah. You know? And so, with first it was my sister, because my sister has always been like a really like awesome influence in my life. And even though like she's always lived elsewhere, and like we'll come together, and it's a really great, you know, coming together. Like, she's always had like this very like clear career goal and on her own path in life. And as I started to step into my purpose and started doing coaching and started doing speaking, and it was more so about like self-development and empowerment and unleashing your gifts. And she was just watching the journey. She just watched the journey. And then she came to me and she was like, you know, there was something that I've always wanted to do. And actually it was in the same vein as what I was doing. And so she started her own like video, like a vlog, and she started doing like coaching. And I was just like, wait. Like, because you think like you'll say the older ones are supposed to influence the younger ones, but
Right,
you
right.
never know. Like, it's not about age. It's not about race. It's not about any of those things. It's about who is fulfilling their purpose, who is stepping into their place of courageousness and power and going for their dreams. And that'll affect everybody else. So that one, when my sister and she broke down how watching me and seeing the shifts and changes that I was making was affecting her life and opening her belief system and giving her the confidence to start going after the things that she wanted to do and even making a change in her career.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, okay. I'm really doing something now. And the other one was my mother. Because we have had, coming up some like challenges in our relationship, like I felt like, she was very like controlling and, and wherever that comes from, her past and background. And I was also very controlling too, because I just mirrored those same things. And so we were always like this, like our relationship was just like two rams, running into each other.
Right.
And so even the changes that I started making, like for the longest, she thought Tony Robbins was the devil. Like, she was like all these people that I'm reading about, Napoleon Hill and Tony Robbins, like these people are the devil because they changing my baby. And, and the day that I knew that like blew my mind was a day that my mom sends me, and this is like years, down the line of me making these shifts and changes and like kind of being resolute to be who I want to be. She sent me this video link to YouTube, and it was a motivational video, and it featured Tony Robbins. And I was like, wow. That was a total shift for her to go from, I can't stand all these things that you're doing because they're changing you, they're pulling you away from, what we have instilled in you or what we believe is right for you. And now for you to take a whole 180 and now you're like, oh, check out this motivational video, or now I'm going to start fasting or like doing cleanses and things like that, which did not happen. So like to me, like those two echoes, because they were so close to home, because what even Jesus say, like you usually are not loved in your own home, like in your own, hometown, like that's where you're taken for granted in your own.
I rarely speak in Colorado Springs. Rarely.
Right?
That's just John.
Exactly. Exactly. So like for me, that's when I knew the path that I'm on and the things that I'm doing, they matter. They're making a difference, because when they can make a difference this close to home and start shifting relationships that are this important to me, yeah, you're doing something right.
Wow. Okay, so I'm on the precipice of making a decision. How are you going to coach me across the finish line to make that actionable step?
First and foremost, people have to get very clear about what it is they want. And not just what it is you want, but why you want it.
Yeah.
Because that why is what's going to keep you going when the times get hard, because the times are going to get hard. But they're getting hard to help you. They're getting hard to be able to build within you the muscles that are needed to sustain at that next level. So your why, like I said, if your why doesn't make you cry, it's not strong enough. So when we can start pulling back the layers and get to why it is you want this, because maybe once we're clear about that, maybe this thing that you say you want is not even really what you want. So it helps you to get very crystal clear, because the more clear we are about what it is that we want to go after, the universe, God, every resource that's available will come to your aid to help you get it.
Sounds like somebody read Napoleon Hill.
Read it and wrote the book on it, at least the children's book on it.
Tell people how they can find you.
Certainly. I am available on all social media outlets at Havilah Malone. So that's HAVILAH HILAHMALONE. You can also reach out to me via email at ask@havilahmalone.com. And I look forward to hearing from you. Like, I love getting questions. I love interacting with people and engaging with them. So you can email ask@havilahmalone.com or any social media outlets. I am available.
Well, you have been a gem for this show. Thank you so much for your time. What a rock starette you are. Continued success and blessings over your life. We're going to be right back with Life's New Normal and more right after this message. Check out Havilah. She's doing a great job. Did you catch how she was correcting me on her name throughout the whole process? She is so slick and smooth. Smooth. I'm telling you, smooth. Because I don't know if it's Havilah, Hawaii.
Have it all. Look.
Have it all with Havilah. Awesome. And congratulations once again on your crowning. We're very proud of you from this Louisiana Universal Studios.
Universal Studios.
We'll be right back after this, everybody. We'll see you on the other side.